My name is Stacy Calise. I'm the Executive Director of the Westown Association. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight at our annual meeting. We're really excited to celebrate the exciting progress in our downtown neighborhood, as well as recognize some of our Westown champions in 2021. I'd like to thank our very generous host, the 3rd Street Market Hall, and the Avenue team, Courtney Morris, who's a Westown board member, and Omar, for allowing us to use this great new venue in Westown to showcase it tonight at our annual meeting, as well as Dairyland for providing the food for tonight's meeting. Before we begin, we'd like to recognize our presenting sponsor for the annual meeting, which is the We Energies Foundation. We Energies is such a strong supporter of the Westown neighborhood and our organization. We Energies has sponsored Westown's signature events for many years and continued their contributions throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, which we are so grateful for. We're honored to have a number of elected officials with us this evening, and we'd like to recognize our City of Milwaukee Mayor, Tom Barrett, City of Milwaukee Alderman Bob Bauman, what a difference a few years makes. That's what Mark Cass said in a recent Milwaukee Business Journal article about the growth and revitalization of West Wisconsin Avenue. As so many of us in this room that have been working to revitalize our Main Street know, this wasn't always the narrative about West Wisconsin Avenue. But today, West Wisconsin Avenue is coming alive with new commercial developments, a booming residential base, and attractions and events driving economic growth. As the community has rebounded from the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, West Wisconsin Avenue has once again began to thrive, illustrated by celebrations for the grand opening of the Bradley Symphony Center and the return of the Milwaukee Night Market. Looking ahead, our grandest avenue will only further establish itself as downtown's premier destination with the opening of the 3rd Street Market Hall, expansion of the Wisconsin Center District, and other developments on the way. Tonight, you'll hear from Westown leaders as they discuss all of the momentum on the avenue from their own industry-specific perspectives. Please welcome our panel moderator and Westown Board Vice President, Jeff Sherman, as well as our panelists tonight, John Doubleday, principal at 3L Real Estate, an Illinois-based residential developer and owner of 730 West, the Buckler, and in 2021 started the residential conversion of 740 North Plankington. Omar Sheck, co-owner of the 3rd Street Market Hall, community leader, and owner of the award-winning Milwaukee Steakhouse Carnivore. Sarah Mayo, vice president of marketing communications for the Wisconsin Center District, overseeing marketing and communication efforts for the Wisconsin Center, UWM Panther Arena, and Miller High Life Theater. And Mark Niehaus, president and executive director of the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, who celebrated the grand opening of the state-of-the-art Bradley Symphony Center just last month. So I'll turn it over to Jeff Sherman.
All right, thank you, Stacy. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. It's a beautiful evening in Westown. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Thank you for everyone on the panel here. A lot of amazing things happening in Westown today. So I have 2 questions for each one of the panelists, and then one question, a common question that we'll go through and have everyone answer about some future things happening in Westown and maybe looking back at the past a little bit. But I want to start off with John Doubleday, principal at 3L Real Estate. John, thanks for being here. John's a Marquette grad. A little bit here, Marquette, it's tip-off night tonight for the men and women. You'll see the downtown streetcar, the Hop, is branded with Marquette. Just launched today, so we are Marquette and we are Westown. Let's go. So in 2017, 3L acquired the former Wells Fargo headquarters at 735 West Wisconsin Avenue and converted it into 144 apartments. Currently, 3L is converting the 8-story office building that houses the Rock Bottom Brewery in downtown Milwaukee and converting that into 130 apartments. So, John, I want to ask, what unique challenges were there in the Wells Fargo conversion and that project? And then what new additions are coming to that space, and can you just kind of talk us through, your concepts and what's next for that development?
Sure. One of the most interesting challenges about 735 was how do you fully redevelop a building while you have an active operating ground floor tenant? Some of the obvious things are, you can't block off the doors. It's a bank, so you can't stage your things in the drive-through. But there's also more mechanical things, like the chillers at 735 are on the roof, and you have a retail space that needs cooling in the summer and heat in the winter, so you can't shut down the heat loop or anything like that. In a typical rehab for us, we would gut the whole building, take out all the mechanicals, do everything new, but when you have someone that needs to operate the whole time, there's just a little extra nuance to it, as well as, does the way that CAM works in an office building, does that make sense in a building that's primarily residential? It was challenging, honestly, but we got through it, and we learned a lot from it, and we've kind of adopted it as part of one of our strategies now. Obviously, the 740 North Plankinton building has rock bottom, and it's going to continue to operate during the time that we redevelop it. And we're also closing on our project in Dallas at the beginning of next month. It's a very similar situation. In terms of next things that are going on there, I feel like I've been talking about it forever, but we're very close to signing a lease with an axe throwing group. We're pretty excited about that. They take up about a third of the lobby space. Wells Fargo's still under lease until 22, but we have enlisted colliers to help us, find a possible replacement for them. Obviously, because of the infrastructure, a bank tenant would be the best fit. But those are few and far between right now. So we're pretty open-minded. We've had a few ticklers from people, but nothing real specific on the rest. We have had a fitness group out of Chicago that's looking to expand into the Milwaukee area, looking to take some of the sub-level area, which would be a nice add. But yeah, looking forward to having some good news to share with at 735 West here shortly.
All right, there's a little tidbit of breaking news. Axe throwing coming to Westown. Live, work, and play. All right. Can we talk a little bit about the Rock Bottom building and the process there? What unique elements will go into that project? Are there plans for the parking lot adjacent to that building too? Selfishly, I own a condo at the Cocker building there, so I want to know what's going on.
In the short term, not a whole lot. In the next 8, 9, 10 months, we've got active leases on office tenants there, so we're not doing a lot with that building other than kind of getting all our ducks in a row, getting our plans finalized, getting ready to submit permits. We do have some demo permits, so where we do have vacant office space, we're taking advantage of that. But otherwise, we're really very much in the planning stages on that building. I think you said 130 on the intro. Right now we're penciling out to about 135 units, very similar to our layout type at 735 West Wisconsin, but we are strongly considering adding a floor to that building, which will allow to some more larger, unique layouts, potentially some duplex units that have setback porches. Obviously, one of the biggest attractions of that building is the river. So as much as we can maximize, tenants' ability to enjoy that river, whether it's the river walk or the boat docks, or we also intend on trying to construct a setback resident rooftop area for people to read a book in the summer or relax and kind of enjoy the atmosphere up there. For you, okay. Currently no plans to do anything with the parking lot. Okay. There are some contractual obligations we have that's going to keep that in place for a while, but even if we didn't have those contractual obligations, we probably wouldn't consider anything until that building 740 was stabilized. So that's probably 2024 at the earliest. That being said, for every reason that we like 740 North Plankinton, there's a parking lot that's right next door with all those things that have it. So, long term, it does make some sense to evaluate building a residential tower there.
Nice, very good. All right, well, thank you for all you're doing in Westtown. We appreciate it. We're going to move on to Omar. First, again, thank you for hosting tonight. We truly appreciate it. Should I get the food hall, give me an exact date question out of the way. I know that wasn't on the list, but should I just ask it
Let's
to
save
start?
that for last.
Okay, we'll save that for last. Obviously, Omar, one thing, you probably heard the story of this building a lot, but you traveled and toured a lot of U.S. cities when you were concepting for the 3rd Street Food Hall. A tough job, but we're really grateful that you did it. And what cities did you visit? Can you give us kind of a flavor of like, what's the Milwaukee model for food culture that you want to bring here? And give us kind of what you learned on your tours as you put this project together.
Sure. I want to start by saying if I look at this side of the room, it's no offense to this side, but that light is like blinding me. Seriously, you know what I'm talking about. And second of all, as I sit in this room and like, this is such a beautiful space. I bet you Courtney could sell. There's one last space over here, over at the Avenue that can be for lease. So if anybody's interested, talk to Courtney over there. Yeah, you know, I mean, so Josh, Tony, Courtney, Jamie, you know, we traveled the country to probably 70 food halls in America. Literally, I can't even name all the cities because there were so many cities, Jeff. And we really wanted to find, I mean, first of all, when I said I would consult and then I became a partner and several partners and deals with these guys, it was more of just because I really didn't know what a food hall was, to tell you the truth. So we needed to travel to a lot of them. And what we really wanted to do is just get the ideas from all across the country, what's working and what isn't working in several different markets. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a food hall that wasn't just like any other food hall. A lot of the food halls that you go to are more lunch-driven, transactional, in and out. And we wanted to really create something that's more experiential, but also more for the community to enjoy. So if you take a look at, we're happy to, I don't know if we can tour anyone tonight. I have a dinner after this, but we're happy to Courtney's happy to give a tour after this for anyone that's here. We wanted to make it very experiential, but we also wanted to add a lot of gaming elements. So you'll see Top Golf that's being under construction right now, a selfie museum. You'll see a lot of different gaming areas like the Snook Ball, old school Nintendo games. And then you'll see different types of food offerings like what we call hawker stalls. And so those are all basically hawker stalls from Singapore, incubator stalls. And we wanted to do something back, give it back for the industry, for the chefs that are great and talented, that really don't have the capital to come in to do a brick and mortar, that they would have a chance to actually showcase their talent and product and hopefully find an investor or do well and move into the food hall or maybe move outside of the food hall at some point too. So we took the best of elements from so many food halls. It's hard to pin down what food hall, what city. We got inspiration from obviously a lot of New York, DeKalb, Chelsea and whatnot, but then Ponce City had a lot of parallels as to what this whole development represents. I think that we're going to build the top 5 food hall in America. I think that when it's all said and done and opened up by March, April, when all the units are open, I think it's going to change Milwaukee. I really do.
Very good. All right. Well, you hear a lot with development projects about creating centers of gravity, you know, creating centers that people want to be at. Specifically, how do you work to attract new visitors and residents to try the food hall for the first time and become regular customers?
Well, we've been on this for like 20 years. So I think by now everybody knows, or a lot of people know about it. But I go back to how we built our restaurant group, right? First of all, the way that my father always taught me is you have to either be better than everybody or be a little bit different, right? So I think we're different. I think the public market is phenomenal, and I think we'll collaborate with them from a lot of different perspectives. But we're a little bit different because we're experiential. So as crazy as this sounds, we built our restaurant group with one customer at a time. And it's about giving those people the experiences where I haven't seen true hospitality in food halls, where we want to bring true hospitality to this food hall. We want, obviously there's going to be a lot of tourists, conventioneers, people from the hospitals, hotels and whatnot. But I just think that we can give hospitality to make people feel like everybody's welcome there. And I think that, yeah, that's the answer.
Good. All right, awesome. Thank you. All right, Sarah, you're up next. Sarah Mayo, VP of Marketing Communications at the Wisconsin Center District. An Eau Claire grad, right? Okay. Yep. No Marquette connections there, but obviously a passionate promoter of all things Milwaukee in each and every day. Can you tell us, Sarah, how do Milwaukee and specifically an expanded convention center continue to tout themselves as convention destinations, especially in kind of the new world order that we're all in? Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a lot of different things on everyone's plate right now, but with all the exciting changes and the groundbreaking you just had, how do you evolve into this new world?
I think it really started when our new CEO, Marty Brooks, who's not so new anymore, started in 18 and ushered in really a new level of expectation for our delivery of service. When we talk about hospitality, it's not just bringing in these conventions and visitors to have kind of that churn and burn experience, but to get them in. And even if they might be spending 8, 10, 12 hours of their day in the Wisconsin Center, what happens in there that makes it feel really special? We operate on 3 very baseline key values: to be bold, be proud, and be experience obsessed. And I feel like as we've developed this across our staff and as the sort of guardrails that we make these business decisions, we've been evolving alongside the city of Milwaukee. And as Milwaukee's profile has developed and been raised, it's time for us to do the same and make sure that we are in a position to welcome more business, either simultaneously or overlapping. The people that come into our building, yes, they have events in our building, then they have their experience there, but really what happens is that we are able to fill hotel rooms, and we are able to make sure that tables are turning at restaurants and that visitors are coming through to the food hall. And so the work that we do at the Wisconsin Center District is really the baseline foundation for hospitality throughout downtown. And what an industry that is, and what an incredible economic machine that can be when it works. So we are looking forward to making sure that by doubling our space, we are offering the opportunity to host more events, but simultaneous and overlapping, and making sure that those rooms are full more consistently, those tables are turning more consistently, and we're just bringing more to Milwaukee than it deserves it. We love this city.
Good, all right. I have 3 more mini questions for you. I'll ask them all together, and if you want me to repeat them, I will. But one of my favorite questions to ask people is always to define success. So I'd like you to define success for the Wisconsin Center District, and is there a model city or venue that you're looking at? And then do you see a need for more hotel rooms in Westown? And then finally, have you ever really seen an event as cool as the Van Gogh exhibit at
No.
Wisconsin Center? All right.
Define success. So honestly, for us, I think success is really going to be defined as our ability to have that butterfly effect and make sure that those rooms are filled more consistently. So when an event moves into the Wisconsin Center, they take maybe 3 or 4 days to load in. Then maybe their event is another 3 to 4 days, and they move out in 2 days. So of the 10, the convention, the big event, is really only happening for 4 of those 10 nights, even though our building is out of commission, it's off the calendar. That doesn't work for hospitality. So when we are able to expand and host more events simultaneously, yes, great, we'll be able to do more events. People will have more of a local connection to this building, and we're really proud of that. But success means you feel it, and you feel it, and you feel it, and that everyone else is sort of like enjoying kind of that butterfly effect and that resonance that comes off of the work that we're able to bring in. Regarding hotels, I think when we started to conceive of what the expansion would look and feel like, we brought in a key group of stakeholders, of current clients, aspirational clients, former clients, meeting and event planners to tell us how they would use the space. We don't want to come in and just decide that this room can be used this way. That's foolish. It's short-sighted. We wanted the input and feedback from people who will actually be using the rooms and the spaces. How will you use this? What matters to you? What doesn't matter to you? And certainly, safety and cleanliness were at the top of the list. They always are. We are able to really integrate into this expansion infectious disease mitigation strategies that no other convention center will have when we come online in ’24. That will set us apart from other cities, in addition to everything else that the city is doing to really make sure that we are safe and attractive. And then, the hotel room piece, certainly we would always love to see a full-service, big convention hotel. It's a bit of a chicken and egg, and now that the expansion has formally broken ground, we'll see what happens next. It would be awesome. But we have a project to take care of, so we're not in the hotel business, but we would certainly support and look forward to a full-service hotel property in Westown, absolutely.
All right.
Also, Van Gogh, running through January 9th.
All right, very good. If you haven't gone, get your tickets and go. All right. And on to Mark Newhouse, president at the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. Show of hands, who's been to the new facility? All right, very good. We want more hands up in the air next time I ask that question. Mark's a University of North Carolina School for the Arts in Winston-Salem grad, correct? From there? That was, okay, all right. And then you made your way to New York to attend Juilliard School, came to Milwaukee in 1998, played trumpet at the Symphony, and you're still the Walter L. Robb Family Trumpet Chair.
I know that we have a new trumpet player now, thank God.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
All right.
he's excellent.
All right, very good. I want to ask a question from the patron experience at your new home. You know, what are 2 or 3 really true differentiators there? And then kind of what are your plans above and beyond the traditional symphony events to kind of maximize the beauty and the ambiance of the new building?
Got it.
It's funny, I'm not quite looking to the same light that Omar was, but I'm having flashbacks to Radio Shack up there. Do you guys remember? Right? Do you guys miss Radio Shack? Wasn't that the best? Like you go in there thinking you need an adapter and you come out with like a walkie-talkie. Yeah, totally. So, Omar, can we have Radio Shack in again?
Let's bring them back.
All right, that would be awesome.
I think it's just the shack now, right?
Yes, exactly. iShack, probably. So the patron experience of the symphony was sort of a central piece in the design process. The Warner Theater was built in 1930 for an audience of 1930. And apparently no one in 1930 ever went to the bathroom. They never checked a coat. They certainly didn't want to go to a bar. And I don't know if you know the ticket kiosk out front there, that sort of round, beautiful Art Deco kiosk. It has a hole about this big in it. They sold 2,000 tickets to every movie through that one slot. That's not a patron experience. That's waiting outside in the rain to go in while other people buy tickets for a nickel. So almost everything we did in the design with all the additions, the South Edition, the North Edition, as well as some things we put in the tower above, were about bringing a 21st century experience to the building. But beyond that, it's important to us that we curate the patron's experience from the second they think about going to the symphony. That starts when you go to our website. And it also has to do with how do you park here at the Avenue? And how do you get from your parking at the Avenue to the Symphony? And where do you eat, Omar, with an opening date, maybe at some point? So, I mean, that's where we are. So we thought about the entire patron experience, and our architecture folks at Kaler Slater, just sort of right down the block, we're happy to use a local architect. You know, we did a tremendous amount of user mapping, and, you know, sort of taking on the characteristics of an individual and what do they want to do, and how do they want to get from place to place. But there's a piece in this patron experience that we don't talk about enough in these types of discussions. And it has to do with, there's a term that I've been using a lot in the last several years, which is what I call attendance anxiety, which is, am I welcome to go into that place? Am I going to see someone who looks like me in there? Are people going to look at me funny? Am I not wearing the right clothes? Am I going to clap in between movements? Is my racial makeup going to be questioned? And that's really important to us. And that was in the design too, because the theater is incredibly insular. It's in the middle of the block with one opening under the marquee. And we wanted to build a building that was glass and open so you can see in all the time. And you know what's happening, and you can project yourself in there and see yourself in that building, no matter who you are, where you come from. And that's incredibly important to us in our patron experience. That's a big part of it. And your other question was?
I'll incorporate it into the other one. It's just kind of above and beyond the traditional MSO events, what you're looking to stage there. And then kind of above and beyond that, how do you further see the MSO integrating into the Westown neighborhood and all the neighborhoods in Greater Milwaukee?
Got it. So we're not going to hide in our building, right? That's really important. One of the things that we learned in the period of time as our time at the Marcus Center was ending, that there was more and more Broadway happening in there, as there should be, and we needed to find other places to go. We developed some tremendous relationships. We did several neighborhood residencies. Now, that of course has stopped during COVID, right? We're not going out to places where we can't control the environment, because we're just not doing that right now. But when we get back into a time, like we don't even have kids coming to the symphony. 40,000 students, high school and elementary students, come to the MSO every year. That's going to increase to probably 60 to almost 80,000 post-pandemic. But right now, no kids are going to the symphony. 0. Because schools aren't taking field trips. So we're having to sort of adjust that model. But when we come back, we want a lot more education programs coming and going, and the symphony is going to be out in the community playing when it's safe to do so. But right now, we're not doing as much as that, and that hurts. That hurts us because we promised we wouldn't hide in our building, and that's the place where we're the safest, because we have, just like we talk about the science in your building, we're able during the pandemic to pivot with our HVAC system. We've put a polar ionization system in there now that is one of the safest places to be in Milwaukee. The ceilings are 90 feet high. The air circulates every 12 minutes, and there's a polar ionization system that filters all the stuff. So you're pretty safe at the Symphony, which is important to us right now. So the patron experience right now, we're about safety a lot too.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Mark. Stacy, do I have time for the last question? I'm good with good on time. All right. We'll start with you, Mark, and we'll come back here. So this is a kind of an and/or. You can feel free to answer both sides of the questions, or just take one of them. But what do you see as the next big win for Wisconsin Avenue? And/or what's the one thing you'd change about the Westown neighborhood?
Wow.
I have to go first, really? Well, I've been waiting for Omar's thing to open up for so long. I want to joke about that. But seriously, I mean, I love Jimmy John's. I really do, but I don't ever want to go there again. Will you please open your sandwich shop? Omar, you go first.
All right. I mean, I think that, I don't know if I want to use the word change for Westown. I think there's so much positive momentum happening because a lot of the projects talked about today. I think there's an explosion, and I think that Westown is literally, I think it's the coolest area and going to be the coolest area for some time with everything that's happening. I would say, and I talked about it in the last panel, finding a way, though, the one challenge is there's a lot of great projects, right? And how do we create connectivity between these projects, right? And I don't have the answer to that. It might be lighting, might be art. I don't know if you've been to Wynwood Walls in Miami, but it's brilliant with how they tie the neighborhood together. That's something that we should get a lot of leaders together on this side, and actually on any side in Milwaukee, to really figure out how we create that connectivity between the great projects.
Thank you for ceding my answer. It's about connectivity, and it's a little bit bigger than just our individual projects. Milwaukee reminds me of Germany in the Middle Ages, which was 600 countries with little fiefdoms, and everybody had their own castle with a moat around it, and you had to pay a toll to get from here to there, and everybody was sort of protecting their little spot. I would love for Milwaukee, and I would like Westown to be an example of that, because in essence, we're kind of a donut hole, right? We're the middle. We got Marquette over there. The east side's taken off. Pfizer Forum, Deer District's happening. 3rd Ward, 5th Ward's happening. There's all these things happening around us, but they're not all connected because we're in the middle. And when this area takes off, I don't want us to lose our identity of Westown, but I would like us to feel like downtown in general is connected, and you don't feel like you're in one spot versus another place. Because in many people's perception, in their minds, the Marcus Center is 40 miles away from the Bradley Symphony Center, in their head.
Yeah.
And when you look on a map, it's 4 blocks.
Yeah.
But there's a river. Oh my God. I can't go across the river. What will happen to me? And so I'm waiting for that to break down. And so that piece of connectivity, I think, is really important.
That's great. That's great. Sarah, wave your magic Westown wand.
Yeah, right. It's in a similar vein, certainly. I think growth is exciting and wonderful, but also it intimidates me because it is if it's not done thoughtfully and inclusive with an inclusive lens, it can go south real quick. So my hope certainly is that we come together and that institutions and leaders are able to put a vision toward the future. And really, we're talking about we'll open in 24. Okay, great. What happens in 26 and 28 and 30 to make sure that we are growing appropriately and just having that long-term vision. I love a long-term vision. I love a strategy, and I'm hopeful that we can continue down that path, together in a unified fashion and really make Milwaukee what it ought to be is phenomenal.
All right. And John?
You guys stole all the good points, so. It's more of the same vein. I want to see Westown be more of a destination for people. Maybe commercial activation up and down Wisconsin Avenue certainly started with some of the developments here. Maybe more specific, I'd like to see the lot at 4th and Wisconsin get redeveloped. I think that could be a real good commercial anchor to draw people in and kind of, you know, connect the neighborhoods that you were talking about, Marquette and downtown and the Deer District, and pull everyone into kind of a central hub with the hop running right past. So that would be my wish for the West End.
Very good. All right. John, Omar, Sarah, Mark, first, on behalf of the entire Westown board, thank you for getting up every day and just caring and diving in and doing the work. It's absolutely amazing. We appreciate your time and ideas and passion today, and enjoy the rest of the evening.